Hi everyone, so I'm going to show you how to use Ableton, just a basic starting tutorial. So install Ableton. When you first open it, it might have kind of a demo song on it, which you can kind of play around with, which is fun and all, but I'm going to show you how to set up stuff from scratch. So if it has that demo song, either go into Ableton and create a new live set, or just shut it and open it again, and it will open on this page. Okay. When you're in Ableton, there are two main views. There's this one, which is kind of called your clip view, which has your tracks, and then these slots, which I'll show you what they're for in a minute. And then if you can switch between your two views here. So you've got your clip view, and this is your arrange view. Just like in Logic, it just goes across when you record your tracks. And then you've got this view, which allows you to record different sections of audio or MIDI and have them all on these different lanes and trigger them off, which is kind of cool, which is what Ableton's kind of designed for as a live performance piece of software. But you can mix in it and do various other things. Most of the things you can do in Logic, you can do in Ableton. So it's, yeah, a useful alternative, and it's a cool piece of software. So first of all, I'm just going to show you how to create some MIDI. So this is just like having a software instrument track in Logic. Okay, so we want to create some sound. So what we're going to do, click on our first MIDI track. You can rename these tracks, by the way. You just right click on it and go rename. So I'm just going to call it, I don't know, synth. And then you've got all of your different sounds here. Now the sounds tab is kind of, these are like preset loops that you can use. So you can just kind of pull these onto a track. And they'll play if you want, but we're going to get rid of that. I don't want it. So these are kind of like preset like loops and clips that you can use, which is kind of fun, but I would just make stuff from scratch. So if we want to actually make a MIDI instrument, we're going to go up here. Now you've got all of these, they're just different instruments, just play around with them. I'm going to use operator for now. So if you could just drag operator onto a synth track if you want, and then the default sound will play. So I've got a keyboard connected here. You can click presets here, and then you can just find something that you like. So I'm going to go down to pad, and I'm going to have snow pad. Which sounds quite nice, which is an arpeggiated sequence, which sounds quite cool. So once you've got sound, I mean, you can, here's your volume control. You can make these tracks bigger if you want to as well. So I can control my volume there. Okay, so I want to record it in. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can do it in the old way, so press tab or hit up here to go to this view, and you can just record it in like you always would have done. Now, if you want to hear a click track to play to, this is the click bar here. So if you click that, you'll get the click track, and we're running at 80 BPM at the moment. So if I hit play, we've got that. Now that's too slow for me, so I'm going to turn this up to, I don't know, let's go 110. Actually, let's go 100. I like that. Okay, let's go back to the beginning and let's record some chords. So. Cool. All right, so we've got our synth part here. So now if you double click on this, it's just like the piano roll in Logic. Notes here, you can just select them. They're as they were before. So obviously if we want to, we can quantize them. So I'm going to quantize it. Boom. And it's just moved onto the bars there for us. So that's correctly in time. Now obviously you can quantize, set your quantize settings to change if you want, but the standard quantization should be absolutely fine. Okay, another cool thing here is that while you've got these notes here, you've got your velocity layers, so you can change the velocity for each note if you want. So I can turn that one down, I can turn that one up, that's that one, or you could just turn them all up. If you select them all, you could just have them all the velocities high. Okay, so we can obviously listen back to our MIDI now. which is nice. So I like that. Help this now. Let's go back here. So of course I can resize this. So let's make this track a little bigger here. So I can resize this. So I can make it end there. I can make it start on bar 1. And then obviously I can just copy it. So I could hold down Alt, copy it. So that's our sequence if we want. If you want a loop as well, if you turn on this is our loop section, and we can just go like this, and it would just loop around all of these chords. Anyway, kind of cool. Okay, so once you've got some MIDI in there, you can play around with it. Obviously chop it, move the notes as you normally would, so just remember, just double click on it and you've got the piano roll as you normally would in Logic, same deal. Okay, so we can add some more stuff to it. Now there's the other view which you can do stuff on. So if I wanted to add this to our other view, our clip view, all I do is I right click on it and copy it, press tab, and I go back here. Now if I just hit paste here, it's now on this lane as a clip. So this kind of cool thing about Ableton, you can have all these lanes with different bits of MIDI information, different notes on them, and then if you use these controls, you can basically trigger them in different orders in what we call a live set, a live performance. This is kind of the whole point of Ableton Live, is that you have this controller called a launchpad with all the buttons that represent these lanes, and then you can fire off your different melodic sequences and drum parts and stuff in any order you want. So you can kind of do a live performance, and it's different each time if you wanted to. So now I've got this in here. It's exactly the same MIDI part as we had before. By the way, sometimes you'll find if you're playing around in this view, if you go to the next one, it's locked. You can't do anything. If that happens, just click this icon here and it will unlock it and you can do stuff. Okay, so while we've got this bit playing, we could maybe add drums or something on another lane. So we could play around with that, all right? So let's have a go. So on this track, we're going to make this our drum track. Quite like that. Let's go with that. There we go. Which is kind of cool. So if we want to, we can either record the drums on this lane, in this view as usual, or we could just record straight to the clip. So if we turn the click on, I'm just going to get some kicks in here first. So let's go. Okay, so if you want to play around with your clips, so if we just play this now. Oh, by the way, if the click's too loud, you just turn it down here. Now those kicks are a little bit out of time, so I'm going to quantize them. But before I do that, I want to actually change the loop so that they come in straight away when the synth does. So if we just drag this here, this should allow the drums to play from the start point. But this note here isn't playing ball, so let's just rewrite it in and then it should do. Okay, that's cool. So what I'm going to do now, select all my notes, and then I'm going to quantize them. But if you want to make sure you've got the right quantization value, because the way I've played this, I need it in 16th notes for them to work. If you right-click on it, if you go quantize settings, I'm going to change mine to 16th notes here. and then it's just going to put them into the grid, and that should sound real nice now. That's cool, I like that. But also, remember, you've got your velocity settings for each hit, so you can make it less or more. I'm going to quantize this last set a little differently, so I'm going to go quantize settings on these, and I'm going to do these to 1/8 notes. Okay, and then that should be a little different. And that's it. You can just keep layering up and layering up. So if I wanted to, of course, I could copy this drum track down to another lane. So that's our first one. This is our second one. And on the second one, I'm going to move some of these notes around. So I'm going to make that a 4-note one. I'm going to take that one out. And then we've got a variation. So if we just clicked on our drums, we've got the original. Or I could have this one. And then you basically just build up variations of these different MIDI parts, and then you can just create different performances. It's kind of fun. And then when you're ready to actually create your arrangement, you can record this page into the main arrangement page. So if we get rid of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a performance in. So if we go back to the beginning here and I press record, we're going to start recording, and I'm going to start this lane here. And then I'm going to switch to my second drum part. Then go back to my original one, line it up. And you can create these different evolving arrangements. It's really fun. And that's recorded in. And then you can go in here and you can edit it. But that's I just did a performance with 2 different drum parts by triggering them off. It's kind of fun. So you can kind of play around with this. I'm going to show you how to do stuff with audio in a separate video. So this will be the MIDI one, and I'll do an audio one as well. Incidentally, if you want to add effects and stuff like these on the track you're using, just double click on it. So at the moment we've got this pad, so if we solo it, you guys know what it sounds like now. Obviously we can pan it to the left, to the right. We could also put extra effects on it. So in Ableton, by default, these are basically just buses. It's the same as Logic. So it's got an A and a B sense. So if you turn A up, it ends up here on A. If you turn B up, it will end up here on B. As default, A has a reverb on it and B has a delay on it, but you can change whatever effect you want. So let's just say on A, we're going to use the reverb. So let's see what this sounds like. So at the moment, without anything, as we turn it up, it's kind of got reverb on it already, so that's not so obvious. Let's do it on the drums. So here you can hear the reverb. We've also got the delay too. So you can play around with effects. Now, if we wanted to change this, so it doesn't have reverb on it, it has something else, you can just, this is your reverb plugin, so if you click on a channel, it will show you down here what's on it. So if it's got the yellow dot on, that means it's on, so I'm going to turn that reverb off, and let's go to effects, so audio effects, so let's choose something else, so let's go for a flanger, let's try that. So put a flanger on, and now while we play this, let's go up to A. Then of course with the flanger you can use different presets, but we'll just have a play around with it. You can automate all this stuff, by the way, as well. So you can just pull different effects on, just have a play with all the different ones, there's loads. Okay. And then you can turn it down here, we're peaking a little bit. Or just don't have anything. Alright? So you can play around with effects as well. One more thing really quickly, obviously if you want to add in notes onto other lanes, you can. So you can just double click in them and a note will come up, or you can hit B, which is draw mode. So here I could add in a rim shop sound here, maybe see what that sounds like. You could have another one here, or whatever. Also, it's worth noting, if you want to change the note value, if you go up here to options, you can switch to triplets. So that's going to be a little bit different, so you get more hits. So you can just play around with the note values that you put in. Okay, yeah, have fun with your MIDI. So you can also move these to different sounds. You can move them up to side stick, whatever, Tom. Totally up to you. It's just like in Logic, really. It's just getting used to where things are. And remember, you'll quantize notes if you right-click it there. All right, cheers.